Awesome. So as you can see, title of our presentation today, Entrepreneur, Design Your Own App. Today, we're going to talk about um, the path that entrepreneurial success and uncover the magic of UX UI design. We're going to learn how quickly you can elevate your UX skills. So your journey to business excellence awaits. Let's turn these ideas into digital triumphs. So to quickly discuss the agenda, we're going to go through a few different sections on this presentation. So first, we're going to talk about why the world needs entrepreneurs. From there, we'll discuss UX design, right? It's something that we think is strictly related to tech, but it really can be your entrepreneurial ally. If From there, we'll then go into how do I learn UX design? And then can I get started today? So this presentation is all about the secret of these tech unicorns, learning UX UI design skills and how that can accelerate the rise of mobile apps that can change the world for the better. So let's jump into the first agenda, why the world needs entrepreneurs. And to get started with this, I love to think of entrepreneurs as innovators, right? There are people that bring ideas, sometimes small ideas that can really even just change the world for the better. So what is that entrepreneurial spirit? And that's what we're going to keep in mind as we go through this section, right? It's a mentality. It's a form of motivation that drives change and innovation. And to keep us in that mindset of innovation and entrepreneurial spirit, we'll go and read this quote from one of the best innovators of all time, Steve Jobs. This was from the Apple's Think Different campaign. And he was quoted saying, while some may see them as crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. And that's exactly what entrepreneurship is about. It's taking an idea and making a huge impact on the world because of the needs that you're serving for your customers. So to kind of help frame the impact that this entrepreneurial spirit has, where passion and work kind of come together, leaders change and innovate and make that positive difference in the world, we're going to take a look at what's called the Unicorn Club. And if you haven't heard of the Unicorn Club before, it is a combination of companies that have reached this $1 billion market cap. And almost any we can kind of go through a list of all the companies that are in there, and you've probably heard of them in one way or another. And the reason that this is so important to kind of talk about is because the companies that are getting into this Unicorn Club these days are doing it faster than ever. Companies are reaching that $1 billion market cap at a faster clip than they ever have in the history of, honestly, the world. And the reason that they're doing this is because of the use of technology, right? Technology has advanced our lives in so many ways, and it's also advanced the way that entrepreneurs and startups can make money and even make it into the Unicorn Club. So if you take a look at this list, I know it's hard to see because there's so many companies on there, but if you go through the sectors, you can see On Demand has things like Lyft, and Uber is on there. You can see through travel tech, we have Lime, which is one of those scooters that you could pick up in the cities. We have tons and tons of companies on here. And to kind of break this down a little bit further, tech unicorns is, again, to reiterate, is a company that hits that valuation of $1 billion or more. The total number of companies that have reached this status is 1,200. The most established companies that come to that you probably have heard of is Airbnb has reached this status, Uber, Meta, and even Google. And then today, the most valuable unicorn companies are Instacart, Stripe, Shein, Epic Games, and ByteDance. And why is this important? Why is this relevant to you as an entrepreneur, to you as somebody who might have this idea? It's because it doesn't matter how big or small your idea is, as long as it's addressing those needs of your users and your customers, you're going to make an impact. Instacart was just a simple service that was trying to help people get their groceries that might have been too busy. And who knew that so many people would use it, that now it's one of the most valuable unicorn companies to date. And it's making an impact, right? It's something that is as simple as getting groceries from the grocery store to your front door. But the impact it makes can be huge. It can make an impact for somebody who might be, way too busy They might have kids to take care of, and just the balancing the kids and their work, and they might even work 2 jobs just to hit the grocery store might be such an extra effort. And they might end up having to, get fast food or eat out, or do these like unhealthy habits. But with the innovation of Instacart, they are now able to take that stress out of their day, get home from their busy day, have their groceries delivered to them. It makes such a difference in their daily schedule. And that's what being an innovator and an entrepreneur is all about. It's finding your idea and bringing it to the people who need it most. And that's how you make it into this unicorn club. So what makes a unicorn? What makes, a company have that difference in the world? Let's learn from the best. The traits of those unicorn startups: number one, they're disruptive innovators. They require creative solutions that differ from industry norms. They're doing something that most companies in the industry don't do, or they're serving a need that companies in that industry don't serve. They're tech savvy. Nearly 90% of unicorns that we've looked at on that list provide software products. So in order to get to that $1 billion valuation today, the best companies are doing it through the use of software and through the use of mobile applications or websites. It's, that's the way that we're going today. Almost every product that you can think of has some form of mobile application or website where you can interact with that product. So that's why 90% of these companies that are reaching this status provide software products. And then they're customer focused. Over 60% of unicorns have a business to consumer model. They identify ways to improve consumer lives. So we're taking from the best. They're bringing something directly to the consumer, again, like Instacart, and they're improving those lives. So how are they doing this? How are entrepreneurs, how are people with these innovative ideas finding ways to disrupt industries and change lives, like Uber and Airbnb and Instacart? How are they doing this? And this is what we're going to look at right now, are entrepreneurs unlocking their potential with UX UI design. And let's dive in. So a great way to frame this section, I have another quote here. It's going to be from Henry Ford, the founder, CEO of Ford Motor Company. And this is a quote by him saying, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And it's a really interesting thing to keep in mind, because at the time, we're going to go through this whole case study. And this is where we bring in the aspect of user-centered design, right? So let's walk through Henry Ford's story. It's a case study on disruptive innovation, the man who literally disrupted the automobile industry. So in the early 20th century, the automobile industry was really just a playground for custom-made luxury cars that dominated the elite scene. If you weren't in the wealthiest class of the country or even the world, you were not able to get your hands on a car. They were custom, they were luxury, and it was more of a showy thing back then. Then the disruptive innovation comes when Henry Ford, who dared to challenge that status quo, right? We see at the time, the auto industry was only for those who could afford it. Nobody thought any differently. They didn't even think about owning a car. But Henry Ford comes in and said, I'm going to challenge this. And his disruptive innovation came in the form of a Model T, which was an affordable car that brought the automobile to that middle class doorstep. So he opened up the automobile to an entirely new class of people because he challenged the way that the automobile industry was at the time. And how did he do it? Because he was tech savvy. He turned his vision into reality because he embraced the technology that was around. He blended machines with assembly lines, and he allowed innovation for quicker production and making more cars and making them more accessible than ever. So he was able to really look at how they can alter the manufacturing process and produce cars at such a fast rate that the prices could be lower and be more accessible to everybody else. And this is what we call customer focused, because by manufacturing a car at half the price of the competition, Ford replaced the reliance on the horse and carriage and opened up an entirely new era of transportation. And that is just an amazing, amazing story of how the automobile industry was turned upside down because of Henry Ford. And if we look even further, this wasn't just about cars, right? This is where we're going to bridge the past to the future with that entrepreneurial spirit and with what UX UI design has to offer. It wasn't just about cars. It was about empowering individuals and providing an affordable means of travel for the average person. His customer-focused approach, it didn't just transform the industry, but it transformed the way people live, right? If you think about, again, that unicorn club that we were talking about, Airbnb, Uber, Instacart, Google, that all those companies have in mind or have in common is that they transform the way that people live by disrupting an industry one way or another. So how do we do this? How does UX UI design help us get into this mindset? Like Henry Ford, entrepreneurs must disrupt existing norms by identifying pain points and envisioning solutions that bring the value to the customer. They also leverage technology. So you embrace technology, design, and efficiency to disrupt those outcomes. And then customer-focused design is by focusing on the customer needs, creating products that not only address those pain points that they have, but revolutionize the way customers experience and interact with the product. And here's the secret to UX UI design, and here's why industries are embracing the shift to mobile products and mobile ways to reach their customers more than ever. Because with UX UI design, it's all about that need finding. It's like an iceberg, right? When there's some needs that are deep and hidden. So in the spirit of Henry Ford, let's explore why entrepreneurs today need UX UI design, because that key to addressing the user pain points and providing that valuable product experience. So look at this picture here. It's a picture of an iceberg, right? At first glance, an iceberg kind of looks kind of small, right? You see it, you're driving through the ocean. It's this chunk of ice, but what actually happens is if you go down beneath the surface, that iceberg is a lot larger than you really think it is. And this is what UX UI design helps us figure out with our customers. At the surface level, if you go and talk to your customers about your idea, you're going to find out what their behaviors are and what their spoken preferences are. They're going to tell you, if you're targeting users with travel, they're going to tell you what they want in travel, and they're going to speak to you about that. But if you aren't using this UX UI design approach, this user-centered design approach, then you're not really uncovering their true needs. And that's what UX design will help us do, is it helps us find beneath the surface, like an iceberg, the deeper meanings. People cannot always tell you what's important, so it's up to you to make the meaning of their stories. And that's where human-centered design comes into play, where UX UI design comes into play, is we're able to find those needs beneath the surface and then come up with our own solution that's going to address those needs. So back to that CB Insights, that Unicorn Club, those companies that have hit that $1 billion valuation, they also CB Insights, who conducts this report every year, also took a look at the consequences of overlooking UX UI design in the entrepreneurial journey. So in that ever-evolving startup landscape, the absence of user experience can pose significant challenges. Being flexible and not actively seeking or using customer feedback is an issue. And also building a solution and looking for a problem is also an issue. And here's what CB Insights found for entrepreneurs that they've surveyed. 20% of entrepreneurs fail because they ignore the customers and neglect the feedback they're getting. They think that they're creating something that's going to work. They don't care what their customers are saying, and they're not truly addressing those needs. So 20% of those companies are failing just from ignoring their customers. And even larger, 50% of startups and entrepreneurs are failing because there's a lack of understanding of market need. They're building a solution and looking for a problem instead of figuring out how to address the problem with a solution. And that's what UX UI design can help you with. You have an idea, you're an entrepreneur, you're the one who has these ideas. Now it's up to you to go out to your target market, figure out what their problem is, and then tweak your idea to fit those within your target market. And this is a huge study because, like you can see, almost 50% of companies are failing because they don't understand their market needs. All right, so before we get into this last section here, I just want to showcase this about a quick survey. We'd love for your thoughts. We'd love to hear, any thoughts and about our presentation and, questions you might have on UX UI design. So if you go ahead and scan this QR code, it will take you to a survey where you can kind of share your thoughts and feelings about this presentation. We'd love to hear it. And if you complete this, we'll offer you a $250 coupon to our UX UI Design Foundations course. And we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about what our Foundations course looks like, but this is here for you. Please scan it. We really appreciate any thoughts that you can share on this presentation here. All right, so let's go into one of our final sections is how do I learn UX UI design, right? We've made clear from the past few slides here how important UX UI design is to helping entrepreneurs, innovators get closer to their target market and develop solutions that truly address their needs. But how do we learn UX UI design? And here's how Avo Academy can break it down for you. This is a little bit of how we run our program here. And what we're going to talk about is how Avo Academy can elevate those entrepreneurial outcomes where our UX UI Foundations program and your entrepreneurial spirit meets design innovation. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about design thinking, right? Design thinking for your business idea. If you come into our bootcamp, you will come into our bootcamp with your idea in mind. And we're going to teach you a special method that's going to improve your business idea by understanding what your users really want. So keep that buzzword in mind, design thinking. We're gonna go over that in the next slide here. Also, you're going to get all the help you need from mentors. You have access to scheduling mentor calls, to getting mentor support throughout our entire program. So you're going to get advice and support from experts whenever you need it that will guide you through that world of UX UI design for your business, for your idea. And lastly, you can learn this quickly. In only 8 to 16 weeks, you can learn how to make your business look and work great with practical hands-on experience. And by the end of this course, you'll develop an actual prototype that will meet those needs of your users by going through this design thinking process and by getting that help from that mentorship. So in just 8 to 16 weeks, you can get a prototype that's going to get you as close as possible to the target market that you're trying to go after with your idea. And here's what we mean when we talk about design thinking. It's a 5-step process that you'll walk through in those 8 to 16 weeks. So let our design thinking, let Avo Academy's design thinking methodology, our expert mentors elevate that entrepreneurial outcome for you. It's that eureka moment. You're going to bring your idea to life. And here's how we do it with design thinking in this 5-step process. So first, this is the toolkit to unlock for you to become that tech unicorn, to get on that $1 billion valuation and be on your way. So first thing we want to do is when you come into this course, we teach you how to empathize. It's called market discovery, where you dive into your target customers. And just like that iceberg, we go beneath the surface and really uncover what their needs are. After we figure out those needs, the second step is to define what our consumer wants. And that's where we're going to identify the problems. We're going to shape that product concept with a clear purpose, right? We have this idea, we have this, this business plan, but once we do that market discovery and take it into that define phase, this is where we can tweak our business plan and tweak our idea to make sure that it's a concept that has clear purpose and addresses those needs of our users. Once we define it and get that product concept ready to go, we're going to go into this ideation phase, which is really just another word for brainstorming. And we're going to teach you techniques to think about as many possibilities, as many outside the box possibilities, creative possibilities, silly possibilities, whatever it might be, that are going to address those needs of your users. And then once we sort of narrow that down from that brainstorming phase, we go into design. And this is where I know you might be thinking, but I don't know how to design. I've never used a design app before. I don't really know anything about tech. I'm just an entrepreneur and I just want to run my business. But this is the beauty of UX UI design is you can learn it so quickly. The design tools that are out there are user-friendly, they're easy to use, and it's in just a matter of weeks, you're going to be able to take those ideas and build a blueprint of your business on a mobile application or a website. You're going to be able to design an application that will be a prototype and show how you plan to address those needs of your users. And then the last thing we will do through this 5-step process is test it. You're going to be able to test your prototype, and we're going to show you ways that you can gather those customer insights and take that feedback and adjust your product and sail towards success after you go through this 5-step process. And the great thing about learning this process through Avocademy is this is a rinse and repeat kind of process. So once you learn this, you can repeat this as many times as you want, right? You might go through this once and gather some feedback and feel like you need to make some adjustments on your product that are a little bit larger in scope than you might thought. You can leave Avocademy and repeat this entire process again, gather that customer feedback until you get closer and closer and closer to your users and have a prototype that you are confident is going to address those needs. And then you can start figuring out how you can bring that prototype to life. So I'm going to walk through a really cool example of one of our students here to kind of show you. But this is where Avocademy will help guide your initial product idea into a market-ready creation. It's going to be a great user experience that becomes part of that user's life. So let me show you a cool example from one of our students. All right, I'm going to share this tab here. This is his portfolio. So what we mean by portfolio is, as a designer, when you work on different projects, you're going to be adding it to your portfolio. So if you're looking for a job in UX UI design, different hiring managers can see them. But here we have Ant, which is one of our students. And if we scroll through his portfolio, you can see all of his different projects on here. And this one is one that I want to highlight because he came to us with this idea called Bonds Travel, and he was the sole UX researcher and UX designer. And he says this was his entrepreneurial endeavor. It's this mobile application that he wanted to create and design for seamless family and group travel. So he had this idea that he wanted to bring family and group travel into a mobile application, and we helped him make this prototype. And if we go ahead and click on this, we can walk through how we helped him build this each step of the way. So this is what his portfolio entails, and this is what our course path looks like through those 8 to 16 weeks. So first thing we do is we give a quick overview of our idea and why we think that there's a need for our idea. We talk about the problem, right? There's a problem, and in his case, it's vacationers want to create this itinerary, but we always fail to take into account many things throughout that travel planning process. And then we talk about the solution that we come up with. We scroll down, you can see a little bit about the process that he took. This is actually one of the finished prototypes, but we'll show you how we got there. It starts with that design thinking process that we were talking about before. It starts with discovery, right? Finding out that those customer needs. So you can see he's sort of showcasing how he mapped out some competitive research. He talked about gaps, things that can help the customer. Then we go into that ideation phase. So he starts talking about different ideas that he came up with related to his problem statement. Here's what we call interviews and personas. I'm just getting a little bit closer to those user needs, defining those user needs. And then this is that ideation phase again. So you can see from that initial screen that was showing at the beginning of his portfolio, this is how it started out. This is why you don't need to be somebody with tech experience or somebody with UX design experience to become a designer or use the design thinking process. All it takes is just understanding your users and following this process to a T. These are the first sketches that he came out with for his prototype to be able to address the needs of his users. And then as we scroll down, you can see how this just continues to build. Right now, we talk about mapping. This is what essentially the web pages will look like in his application, right? The home page will take you here. The itinerary page will take you here, things like that. He's mapping out his design. And then this is where he starts building out his color system, his UI, user interface styles. And then finally, we take it into the actual prototype. And you can see he designed something like this. And then as you keep scrolling down, it talks about testing. So he talks about who he tested it with, what he found out from his testing, and then any reflections on that. So anything he learned and any changes that he made. So this is the before, the first version that he ever launched. And you can see how much better it looks in the after, all because he followed this design thinking process and he went through that testing phase. And you can keep repeating it over and over and over again until you get something that you feel confident is going to meet those needs of your users. And then another cool thing I would love to show in his portfolio is he even went back and became a founding designer and ran a team doing some other entrepreneurial work. So this is how doing some other entrepreneurs. So this is where learning that UX UI design through Avocadomy's bootcamp can help you really understand how to navigate the field of product concepts and really navigate turning an idea into something that's going to be useful and helpful for your users. So really hope that you enjoyed this presentation. We hope that we're able to make the case for UX UI design and how it can really help unlock that potential of an entrepreneur. If you have more questions, we would love for you to schedule a call with one of our advisors. They are amazing. They can talk you through our program. So please give them a call. If you have any questions whatsoever, they'll be happy to answer it for you. You can also follow us on social media. We have those handles down below. But for scheduling a call, you can get the most information on how we can help you as an entrepreneur with your idea. Scan this QR code and it will bring you to a page that you can go ahead and schedule that. But thank you so much for joining us and watching this presentation. We really hope to hear from you soon.